Let's kick things off with a basic orientation of what is happening. Welcome to the Web Dev DevOps cohort by 100x Devs. So this is similar to cohort 2.0. It'll be slower paced. It'll have the same syllabus, some extra projects, some extra DevOps things. It'll probably go on for 8 to 9 months. It's slow paced, which basically means it might have a lot of recorded videos as well, because we'll be going slower compared to cohort 2.0. The goal is to make you incredibly solid at building and deploying web applications. I think if you want to get incredibly solid at building and deploying web applications, the first 20 weeks are actually good enough. Anything after that is, number one, very heavy on DevOps. Number two, a lot of times people don't follow along, or follow along is not the right word. Lose motivation is probably a better word. But I would strongly urge, if you reach that point of week 20 where you can start to build some projects, don't skip out on the weeks that come after. There is a lot of lower level knowledge that comes after the difficult things begin. The same thing I'm I'm expecting in this cohort as well. So I just wanted to give a shout out before we start, because a lot of people are here today. Slowly people drop off. Okay, bhai, the first 15 weeks are great, and you should eject out after that as well. By ejecting out, I mean you should start to build your own things, projects. You shouldn't be dependent on a cohort, but at the same time keep coming back and keep looking at the senior engineer things that we talk about there. A lot of people I know have joined the cohort just for kicks and are already good engineers. For them, I see them a lot in the end, but it would be nice if we can take someone from 0 to 100 end to end. All right, cool. The syllabus for web dev is over here, DevOps is over here. 9 months we have, I would think 8 to 9 months. So if you want something added, let us know. If you want something deleted, probably no one wants that, but let us know. It's very actionable. Anything in web dev and DevOps that you think is missing, we're happy to add, happy to remove. It's very flexible when it comes to the syllabus. We have 6 TAs for now. Let us know if you need more or less. TA Tarun Sumana, sorry. TA Harry Potter, Rushi Kesh, Javed, and Siddhant. Okay, I did not know his anonymous name. All of them are from cohort 2 other than Javed. Javed was a student of cohort 2, is now a TA in cohort 3. Feel free to pick their brain. We'll be announcing which TA is assigned to which subgroup. There are also some rules around the TAs, what you should ask, what you should not ask. Please don't call them on a VC or on a Google Meet. Please don't DM them questions. Send them questions on a group. Most probably the question that you have, someone else has the same question, so both of you guys can learn from it. Let me just make sure things are on the up and up. All right. Cohort projects. We already have dedicated people leading projects for web dev. For web 3, it's just me and one more person, Chaitanya. But for web dev, there are 4 projects that are already being led. Singh was anyways the person who's built a lot of the CMS, and it was a natural transition for him to take over this repository. What is CMS? CMS has the code of app.100xdevs.com, the website that is down right now. So if you want to contribute to the LMS of 100xdevs, this is the place for you to be. If you think there is any feature you want to add, some people wanted to add chat with a video. A lot of people have added that, so don't add that specific feature. But if you have a feature request, feel free to create an issue and ask Singh if you can work on it. At the same time, there might be open issues that you can pick up as well. Daily Code, the project that again is down right now. Everything is on the same cluster, so everything is down together. But projects.100xdevs.com, where we usually see the slides, will be led by Sargam. Sargam was a student again in cohort 2, got an internship, and now I've just grabbed him for being a maintainer over here. He also builds a lot of other things with me on the side. Vineet, he has come on the channel, again a student of cohort 2, works at a YC-backed company, or maybe 2 or 3 YC-backed companies. So I don't know how much time he will have. Sargam is fairly free, I would say, since he's an intern. Singh also is fairly busy. I think he has 2 jobs. Vineet also has more than 1 job only. But again, their goal is to review these, and not write code, but review code. But at any point, if you feel frequencies less, frequencies more, if they're not replying, let me know. And lastly, Nimit works at BrowserStack. He's also a student from cohort 2. He'll be leading Algorithmic Arena. This is our answer to Code Forces. We want to launch this very soon, and start to do contests. We already have someone who's building, like writing the problem statements. I think they're all publicly available over here, so you can look at this if you want. But if you want to help on those efforts, there's like a lot of things to do when you're doing a contest. For example, language support. We only have 3 languages right now. if you want to help on the operational stuff, I wouldn't recommend it. But if you are a problem setter, then also might be a decent place for you to contribute. We just have one problem setter right now who's a student. If you feel like it, we'd love to have you. And lastly, one project that has come from somewhere else. Basically, a friend, past boss, wants to build something like Flamer. So he asked, I thought, let me try. So, this also, I'm just leaving on to you guys. I'll probably build an architecture for this, but we want to build a Framer-like application. What is Framer? It's a no-code tool. If you've heard of Wix Studios or what's the other one? I'm totally forgetting the name. Squarespace. There are a few of these, right? Framer has suddenly become popular. It is a no-code tool that lets people build landing pages and things like these. In fact, if you go to 100xsteps.com, this is also right now built on Framer. So, you can build fairly pretty websites using Framer. A lot of companies are adopting it and also paying top dollar for it. They don't really care. People pay $100 a month sometimes for landing pages like these. So, an ex-boss of mine wants to try it. So feel free to do this. This is up for grabs. If someone else wants to maintain it, great. Else I'll most probably assign this to someone from here, or we can get a fifth person. That's a brief around what all we are going to do. It might feel overwhelming. You will not be able to understand these code bases on day 0. Don't even open them. You will get overwhelmed. These are for you to touch after week 15, week 20. If you are a beginner, if you are here for kicks, and if you are here already know a lot of things, then feel free to go to any of these, contribute. And for the people who are not in the Web3 cohort, yesterday I introduced the Super Team Hackathon as well. You can contribute there as well. We have a hackathon that is being co-led by us and Super Team, where it's primarily a Solana hackathon, so which means you can build full stack things, but there will be some level of Solana needed. But a lot of Solana projects can be built without any blockchain knowledge with some high level API calls. I'll do a video or a live session where I'm building a small app, so you can come there and then participate. $5,000 worth of bounties. This will most probably be distributed in 50 teams. If we get 50 submissions, if we get lesser submissions, then it'll be distributed in whatever, 30 people, 20 people, 10 people. Cool. Avoid the spikes. Again, this is a high level session for the first 20 minutes. Spikes basically are, the way I can relate to this very well is, me going to the gym. I go for 1 day and then 3 days I'm, on the bed holding my hand, my triceps still hurt. So if you feel like that, what happens then is you don't go for a long time. Then you go back again, you have motivation, and then you come back, and then you don't go. So try to avoid that. If you think you're not ready right now, if you think you're too early, things are going fast, you're not interested in computer science, rather not do it. But if you are doing it, go slow, stay consistent, and then eventually eject out. At some point here, you reach terminal velocity. What is terminal velocity? You don't need any support anymore. You just run off to the races from there. And from there, number one, you get yourself have a lot of interest in computer science. You're less worried about a job, even though a job eventually becomes an outcome of people who are able to do things on their own. But you're less anxious. I've seen most people are anxious when you're doing this. कि यार job नहीं लग रही, month stack saturated, there are no jobs, internship, whatever. या भैया free में internship दे दो, please give me a free internship. Those are the people who are stuck here, who are not able to provide value. If you are able to provide value, your worry will not be कि job नहीं लग रही. Your worry might be कि 100K की job नहीं लग रही. I'm not able to get a 100K job. I'm only able to get a XYZ job. So try to be consistent. I mean, initially for a complete beginner, the way you will reach this is just being consistent and showing up every day. That is half the battle. All right. What would I do if I was you? If I was currently a student, let's say just or whatever, even not a student, but getting into this cohort, I would find a group of 3-4 motivated people similar to me. Let's say you're in college, then find college people. If you're working professional, you're more comfortable with working professionals, then find them. Usually the distribution of 100x steps remains 10% or 5% people who are not even in college, like in school, 50% people in college, and then 40% working professionals. So you will probably find someone who's closer to you. 3-4 people is usually good. Meet each other, not every day, but like whatever, once a week. And you have the syllabus, you have where the cohort is running right now. Keep motivating each other, teach, learn, and keep growing together. Early, akele or alone, it's a lonely road. You will most probably drop off. That's why even if you're going to a gym, you should have a friend. If one day you are down, he will take you. One day he's down, they will take you. Sorry, you will take them. Look at the success stories and how they got a job here. So yeah, this is just every 3 days we are now going to post someone who is from cohort 2 who got a job or an internship. Everyone has unique ways of getting it. One person showed up to the office of Dukan, other person got a assignment and did not know much but somehow watched a video, and luckily the thing that was asked for him to do was covered in the cohort. He was not following the cohort too much, but that specific thing was in the cohort. He watched the video, somehow got in. So there are very ad hoc and weird stories of people getting in. I always keep talking about my stories, but everyone, there are like 10 different ways to get in. So try to find as much motivation as you can here. The next whatever 3 months, 4 months, it'll just be how people from the cohort 2 got a job. Repeated advice: GSOC is the best internship you can do, period and full stop, at least in your second year, maybe, or your first year, second year, maybe even third year, I would say. And if you're a working professional also, GSOC now is open to everyone. So the good thing about GSOC is, number one, you get a mini remote internship. Number two, you of course get paid, but it gives you some work X in remote work, which helps when you want a real remote job. When I was interviewing at TopTal, they asked me, do you have remote work experience? I said, no, but I've done GSOC twice, which is like 5 months each. So 10 months, they said, yeah, that can count as remote work experience. So, it is a good way for you to understand what you're getting yourself into if your eventual goal is to get a remote job. Tell me, how can I help? GSOC is a good outcome for everyone and for me. If there is one thing I want from cohorts, it is that we become the biggest community of people who are successful. If there are successful stories coming out of India, they're coming out of here. Last year we had 20 people get into GSOC. This year the goal is 50. You need anything, you let me know. That is, Harkirat, I want help setting up this project. Harkirat, this maintainer did XYZ. Show some proof of work. I'm happy to create a smaller group of people who want to get into GSOC, who are targeting GSOC, whatever. But this is a big goal for me. Isn't even too ambitious, if I'm being honest. It's not too difficult to get a GSOC. There is some luck factor involved, which is out of my control. But you can play a lot of darts, and then the luck factor goes down, and your hard work comes up. So anyway, I can help here, let me know. A good video to watch is this one, where we have talked to 10 out of those 20 people. Again, everyone has weird stories. This guy, for example, just reached the Linux group and did not contribute much, was very well connected with the maintainers, and that's how he got in. Okay, there is some issue. Hello. Brief. Now let's go to the fourth slide. Is there anything else left here? Oh yeah, one call out here, which is we'll be going slow in cohort 3. It might be 8 to 9 months. So if you think you have an internship or whatever, cohort 2 might be a better option because it has a dump of everything, versus cohort 3 is going to be slow, live. If you don't have any deadline of the next 3 to 4 months, then you're fine. But if you have such a deadline, pick and choose which one you want to be in. Alrighty. Moving on to selecting your level. I would assume there are 3 kinds of people over here: complete beginner, intermediate people, and advanced people. If you are a complete beginner, let me already tell you, irrespective of how slow I go, coding is hard. I can go like extremely slow and teach HTML, CSS for 2 months, but I will not do that. That is not going to help anyone other than a small dopamine hit you might get if you're a complete beginner. That said, we will try to go slow. If you are a complete beginner, it will be hard. You should spend the next at least 20 hours every week on cohort material, assignments, other things that we're covering during the cohort. Don't slack off. It's very easy if you're a complete beginner to within 2 weeks be like, nahi ho raha bhai. Don't do that. Go slow. It is fine. If you are stuck, there are TAs to help you. If there is someone the TAs are meant for, it is this group. At the same time, don't be a complete, what's the right way to put it? Don't be a little empathetic towards the TA. They are not Google or an LLM. So whatever is Googleable, Google that. Then ask them. Do not ask them to come on a video call. Do not be rude at any point. Whatever questions you have in an actionable manner, ask them a question. They will answer. If they don't answer, let me know. Intermediate people who have done basics of JavaScript, DSA, you're in a computer science degree, so you can code. You had a Java 101 in school, C++, oops, things like these. But MERN is new to you, specifically building websites at a scale, deploying them is, new to you. I would assume most people like here. You should, for the first 10 week or so, should be totally fine. By which I mean, it'll be like very slow for you. Okay, you'll watch it at 2x. Even when I'm talking, you might not come to live classes, which is fine, because it's slow pace. No point of you wasting 2 hours. Just recap the video at least for the first, at least 7 to 8 weeks. very quickly. When we're doing Express, when we're doing basic HTTP servers, we're doing basic React, you already know it, or can easily skim through it. So don't feel the pressure to come live. If you want to, sure, you're more than welcome. But at the same time, you might have better things to do. Feel free to do that. After week 10 is when you should have some energy, because that is where your muscles will begin to stretch a bit. So be ready after that, be live after that, be consistent after that. We see major drop off after the first major project. So this is something I did not know. Another YouTuber told me, "Bhaiya, I went Harkirat, I went to a college, and in that college, everyone was saying, "Yaar, Harkirat, buy the Harkirat cohort, complete till Paytm project, put it on your resume, good to go," which is fine. I mean, if that is your goal, great. And that is like a certain percentage of people who want that. But I would say, the real learning comes after that. If your end goal is just to put a project on resume, sure, I mean, do this. But I would say, spend a little more effort. If you've spent 3 months doing this, spend 3 more months and, actually learn computer science in a way. Okay, you can crack any job, internship, whatever, build any project on your own rather than, Acha, Harkirat has made this, let me make that as well. Cool. Try chewing some glass after week 10. It'll not be easy even for people here, because we go like extremely hard if you look at the syllabus, especially if you look at the DevOps syllabus and the kind of projects that we're building both in DevOps and web dev. It will get a little hard, but bear with me for a while, and as long as you keep your head down, keep working, ask TAs, you'll be fine. Try chewing some glass after week 10 as well. That is where you will actually learn things and differentiate yourself from a typical MERN developer. All right, cool. Let's see. Feel free to drop off after the first few weeks. For the first few weeks, that makes more sense. If you knew it very well, I will see you on GitHub. Basically, I know why you're here. You're here for the community. You're probably here to help people out. A lot of people join the cohort just to, be around other people. If you're that person, I will see you on GitHub. Help us build some of the projects. Maybe win the bounty in the super team cohort. I would assume 10 to 20% lie here. 40 to 50% lie here, 30-ish% lie here. We'll try to, be mindful of everyone. See you on GitHub. There are maintainers, talk to them. They're like fun people to hang around. We have an internal group. Any freelancing opportunity, I just throw there, people work together. So, yeah, if you want to come there, more than welcome. A lot of maintainers that you see right now are just people who were similar people in the last cohort and, have been sort of involved with us now. Intermediate, most people here, this is where I expect most of the outcomes to come from. GSOC, internships. Otherwise, you are at a certain level, spend a little more time for a few months, chew some glass, get some alphas and, some specific knowledge, and then, start applying in a few months. These people, all the best. It is a long and arduous journey, because, this is a senior engineer cohort. We have 9 months. So, you have a lot of time. We are trying to go slow, but at the same time, learning coding is hard. There are some people who, it's just not meant only for it to happen. So, hopefully if you have bought this, you're not that. But, if you do feel stuck at some point, just let me know how we can help. I mean, that's the only thing I can say. Do you need more TA support? Do you need more classes, more beginner-friendly classes? Do you need material? A lot of times you just need material. Okay, this video, I'm stuck over here. Express, I don't understand middlewares. So just let us know. We can throw some material at you, and so that wherever you're stuck, you just get past it really quickly. All right, cool. Select your level is done. Good things to hash out. All right. These aren't prerequisites by any means. So I will be covering this today, only some of it and some of this tomorrow. But start. I hope you guys know what VS Code is. If not, I'll take you through it in the next slide. But install VS Code locally, do some HTML, CSS basics. We'll also do some today, and start cloning some landing pages of basic websites. Every website that you see, you can clone some part of the landing page, not the whole thing. But let's say, the header, the footer, the mid section, hopefully in like 3 to 4 hours, based on all the knowledge we're going to gain today. That's, covering HTML and CSS. So I would urge, if you want, or if you, are free, which I hope you are if you've joined the cohort, this next 1 week, try to clone a few landing pages. Harkirat, can you give me ideas? Any landing page, right? Open, for example, today, when I was, creating the slides to install VS Code, this specific landing page looked pretty good to me. So, this might be a decent landing page for you to clone to quickly understand how you can write basic HTML, CSS code. You don't need any JavaScript here. Don't even worry about JavaScript, but HTML and CSS hash out really quickly. What I was saying was over here as well. Okay, this VS Code landing page is a decent landing page for you to clone. So that is what we'll try to clone today as well. So VS Code landing page. This landing page right here. Cool. that's all for the orientation. I could stretch this more, but let's do more such sessions from time to time. If you need motivation, no point stretching an orientation for 2 hours. That literally is all I had for alphas slash, please do this for the next few months. Now let's hash out some of these good things. If you know HTML, CSS basics, sprint through these slides really quickly. I forgot to post the slides, didn't I? Screen not shared on Zoom, pretty sure it is. So go through these slides. If you already understand this, just drop off. And if not, then let's basically a complete beginner. Let me just do a poll and we'll understand. Let's do a quick poll. It'll give you a good idea of where you are as well. Where do you lie? There are 3 answers over here. 3 options over here. Select your level. Complete beginner. Intermediate and advanced. Let's see. I'm just doing it on Zoom for now. Most of the people are on Zoom, so it'll give us a decent idea of how many of you are beginners, how many of you are intermediate, how many of you are advanced. That'll also help you figure out. Oh wow, my guess was pretty accurate. So 30% complete beginner. That's almost exactly what I guessed. 60% intermediate and 10% advanced. So great. That sounds great. That's even better. That gives me an idea. Okay, I'm thinking in the right directions. Let's go a little beginner initially and slowly we will up our level. So 10-11%, this class is going to be very boring. Feel free to stick as well. But if you have better things to do, feel free to drop off. Intermediate folks, I would assume the same. I would assume the first 3-4 weeks are fairly simple for you. So feel free to just watch the offline recordings. And for everyone on YouTube as well, super advanced. Okay. If you're a beginner, then stick around. We're going to do some basics of HTML, CSS. Now, that's all I had for the orientation. Thank you everyone for joining, especially the mediocre and advanced people. If you want to drop off, drop off. Let's get into the basics of HTML. I'm going to do this very actionably. We are going to try to clone the VS Code website. First using purely HTML. Yes, purely HTML. If you use pure HTML, you can't do much. Your final page will look extremely ugly. It'll look something like this. But eventually we'll understand how CSS lets you style your code and it'll look slightly better. We'll try to get as close to this as well. Once this is done, I will post the video from cohort 2 that has us cloning the landing page of Zerodha. Let me show it here as well. And then if you want more, you should just build yourself any other landing page that you want. But these 2 landing pages, let's try to quickly build. Let's kick things off with some basic HTML. All right, I'm operating 2 laptops here, so bear with me. HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. Harkiyat, is the full form important? No, it isn't. I had to Google it today. I learned this back in 11th when, or 8th something, whenever web development in school happened, and then totally forgot what the full form was. HTML lets you create a basic website ka page. I repeat, any website, if you look at, be it this website, be it this website, be it this website, all of these websites are built using HTML. HTML gives you your website a structure. What does a structure mean? Okay, orientation and HTML is on the left over here. These things are on the right. This isn't HTML. Structure is actually the wrong word. Structuring is given by CSS. HTML just lets you give basic building blocks for your website. That's too much jargon. But what if I had to summarize in one sentence? What does HTML let you do? It gives you basic what are called tags and attributes to create an ugly website like this. If styles weren't a thing and people weren't aesthetically pleased, websites would have been built like this. It still gives you similar functionality. And HTML was enough for that. CSS was added to add styling on top. HTML is added to create an ugly page like this. If you really look at it, this is sort of a clone of the Visual Studio Code website. This has a top bar over here. We have a top bar over here. The spacing is messed up, but the functionality is similar. If someone wants to use it, they can still use this. There's a search bar over here. There is a search bar over here. HTML is enough to build something like this. Let's see how. Let's quickly make this ugly version of the website. I would urge you to chew some glass now. Number one, I would urge you to install Visual Studio Code locally if you haven't already. So please go to the slide called VS Code installation, open code.visualstudio.com and download Visual Studio locally. I will give you guys 3 minutes to do it. I'm assuming 3 minutes is enough. We will restart at 8:12 once you have Visual Studio Code installed locally. And then we'll write some very basic HTML code, all right? Until then, let me look at both YouTube chat and otherwise. All right, let's see. By the way, everyone who's on YouTube, try to join Zoom now. You should be able to join. And let me open chat over here. Everyone who's on YouTube, try to join Zoom. If you're able to join, just drop off from YouTube. Hello. When I learn new thing, it's easy to apply those things in projects, but the problem is I forget the things very fast and I'm stuck. You're not practicing enough, is the only thing. I also forget things from time to time. If I'm not, HTML is something I wouldn't say I've totally forgotten. It becomes muscle memory beyond a point. But yeah, it happens and it's fine. No one remembers everything. You remember the thing that you're currently working on. For example, if you join a full stack team where you're working on Python using Django, then Python Django will be muscle memory to you. If you do it for 3-4 years, then irrespective of if you've left the company, if you're working on a different stack, Python Django will be muscle memory to you. A lot of new frameworks might have come by then and Python Django might become obsolete. But once you do something for 2-3 years, then it becomes like muscle memory. So, you just need a lot of time. That's all. Is this course equivalent to a junior engineer or SD2 level? But it depends which part of the syllabus you're going through. If you open the syllabus, most of the DevOps stuff I would say is SD2. I wouldn't want to say staff engineer, but maybe one level below it, whatever that is, a tech lead level. Here also, MERN stack itself is fairly simple if I'm being honest. So I wouldn't say it's too difficult. But yeah. It is SD2. I would think so, easily. Both the Web3, at least for the MERN stack. Of course, you can't be a SD2 in whatever Python or Java. But yeah, I don't know what else to teach in the MERN stack. If I'm being honest, if you go through the scope syllabus, I don't even know what else I can is there in the MERN stack or is needed to build a full stack application. Alrighty, cool. Let's get into writing your first HTML file. Again, fairly simple stuff. Anirudh, let us know. I found that one as well. Probably there's just one. And after the live is done, we'll be doing some debugging. In fact, I'm happy to do it live. I will not show you anything as in how I'm able to extract things, but I'm happy to do it live. Tell you the name of the person. Tell you the email of the person. We can email them together, and let them know you've been caught. It'll be fun. But first, let's finish all the slides for today. HTML stands for, doesn't matter. Let's create a simple HTML file locally. I would urge you to create a new folder on your machine called website. How do you create a new folder on your machine? Fairly simple. Let me do it on laptop number 1. Open whatever you want, folder that you want. Let's say I opened the projects folder over here on my machine. I click on new folder. I name it Week1.1 website. If I open Visual Studio Code, I can open the empty website that I had just created. I repeat, I created a website right now, called it Week1 website. Let me open this Week1 website locally once. When I do, I can create an index.html file here. Create a folder called website, add an index.html file inside it. What have I done? I've created an empty folder. I've added an index.html file inside it. And now I'm going to write some code inside it. The code that I'm writing looks something like this. Harkirat, what is this extra code that you've written? Okay, don't write anything. Just write this much. Let's keep things very simple. What are we trying to do? We are trying to create a website. What have I done? I have created an index.html file locally. Let me open this and open this in Visual Studio Code. When I do, I see the Visual Studio Code editor. The thing that I wrote over here in my index.html file, I see over here in the website. So can you see we're slowly building up to a website? Yes, Harkirat. You wrote some text over here, Harkirat. Sorry. You wrote some text over here, Harkirat. The same text appears over here. Now I rotated multiple lines over here. It appears in the same line. That is fine. But we're slowly starting to create a website. Now let's look at the code that we had written, or that we had copied from the slides. The code looked something like this. Week or whatever, let's say Visual Studio Code. What have I done over here? I have added what's called a head tag. What is this? This is a head tag. What you're writing over here looks similar to, if you've heard of XML. It's basically one tag inside which I've added another tag inside which I've written some text. What is a tag? It is something that you have to open as well as close. Something that you have to open as well as close. So I've written a bunch of tags and each tag has its relevance. For example, the title tag that you see over here has the relevance. Okay, whatever you write inside the title tag appears at the top of your screen. I repeat, whatever you write over here appears at the top of your screen, or this tab section right here. That is the significance of the title tag. That is the first tag that we have learned about. You actually don't need the head tag either. This will still work. But this is just general structure that you should give to your HTML file. More specifically, the structure looks something like this. Okay, bhai, I have a head tag where I will put all of my metadata. What does metadata mean? Things that don't appear on the main page, that I put over here. And then body is where I have the body of my code. So if I write, hi there over here, and hi there appears over here. So this is the title tag. This is the head tag which has the title tag which has Visual Studio Code. This is the body which has some text that appears over here. Let's quickly check if this is clear. If this is clear, if this is not clear, then we have to do a lot of things. But I would hope this much is clear, and then we can amp up the pace a little bit and understand CSS really quickly. All right, great. So this is so simple. So let's then understand the rest. How can we create the rest of the website? Again, what are we trying to do? We're trying to create the Visual Studio Code website. To be able to create that, we have to write some HTML. To be able to write some HTML, we have to understand or learn about some common tags over here. You see the div and the span tag. These are the first two tags you need to know of. I'm sure a lot of you already do know them. The div tag lets you structure your page better, and same for the span tag. What does structuring mean? Let's see. Let me create my very first. Let me make this smaller. Let me turn off my AI. The first tag that we're dealing with is the div tag. What does div let you do? Let's try it. Let's write hi there over here. Let's write hello over here. Let's write hello 2 over here. I've written 3 divs. What did I say a div lets you do? It lets you structure your application. Let's see if that has happened. Let me open my website over here. And there is some structure here, right? Hi there is in the first line. It has taken up the whole width, second line, third line. That is what div lets you do. It lets you create various sections. For example, if in our final website, the final website that we have to create multiple sections, right? There is this top bar, then there is this banner over here, then there is some text over, or like button text over here, a heading over here, a button over here. Each one of these can be structured as a separate div, so that this whole space is taken by the top bar, this whole space is taken by the banner, so on and so forth. That is what divs let you do. And span lets you do something similar, but they don't take the complete width, they take slightly lesser width. For example, if I replace, again, here's a VS Code shortcut for you. Select the text that you want to replace, press Command D or Control D. It will select all the divs and then replace it with span. I repeat, what did I do? I selected the first one, pressed Command D and selected all of them and then replaced them with a span. What happens when I do that? I see them one next to the other. So if you just want, basic structuring, you want them to be the same line, you want them to be in line, you use a span. If you want them to be separated by divs, then you can use a div. Harkirat, why do I need a span? I can simply do this. You can simply do this, but eventually we will see. As you can see, nothing changed over here. Even if I remove the span, it looks the same. Even if I add back the spans, it looks the same. But you can do something like this if you have a span. And don't worry if you cannot write this code right now. But if I write something like this, then the first section can be red and the rest can still have a background of white. Versus if I did not have a span tag, I wouldn't have been able to do that. So that is why even though spans sound useless, they still let you, structure similarly looking things together. If I want this hi there to have a red background, I can write it like this. Now, Harkirat, what is this style? What is this you have written on the right? Don't worry about just yet. We'll reach there when we reach CSS. But for now, hopefully div and span is clear. Let's move on to the next tag. Let's see, where are the slides? The next tag, head is done. Head tag is done. Body tag is done. Next is headings. As you can see over here, this is a very big text. This is a slightly smaller text. This is like a very small text. So you want to change the size of text from time to time. Now there are easier ways to do this using CSS, but the HTML only way of doing this, is you replace the span, let's say, by h1. I repeat, you either replace the span tag with h1, or inside the span tag, let's say you add h2 over here. I repeat, the span tag has a h2 tag which has hello inside. What does h2 stand for? It stands for heading 2, slightly smaller heading. What does h1 stand for? Biggest heading. What does h3 stand for? Slightly smaller heading. So on and so forth. h1, h2, h3, h4, h5, h6 let you create various sizes of texts. If I open the website now, you will see hi there is so big, hello is slightly smaller, and hello 2 is really small. Let me just reset the text. This is a h1, this is an h3, this is a normal text that we had written. So what does h1 tag lets you do? Again, if you compare them side by side, the h1 tag is very big. It's a big heading. h3 is a slightly smaller heading, and there is no heading over here, and hence this text is really small. Are there other ways to change the size of font? Yes, there are. We will get to them eventually. All right, let's move on to the next 3 tags over here: bold, italic, and underline. I hope the name is self-explanatory over here. I also know some of you are cursing me, Harkirat, kya sikha rahe ho? Yes, I know, fairly simple stuff, right? We'll go through it very quickly, don't worry. We will add let's replace h1 with bold. And what happens over here? The first text becomes bold. You might say, Harkirat, this text is also bold. Sort of. This second text is bold because we've used an h3. But let's say you want the size to be small, but the thing to be bold. I repeat, you want the font size to be small only, but I want the text to be bold. You can use the B tag. As you can see, hi there becomes bold over here. If I write the B tag, hi there becomes bold. Can you guess what would happen if I add the I tag over here? It becomes italic. Italic means slightly cursive, skewed towards the right. And similarly, if I add you will see hi there becomes underlined. So these are again, dumb styles that you can add. No one adds styles like these today. If you're ever working on your own website or otherwise, there are other ways to, make your website styled, make your text more bold. But, this is very 2008 way to create a website that we're learning right now. You can also, add tag after tag after tag. I can make it underlined. I can make it italic. And I can make it, bold. That way it will have all 3 of the properties. I repeat, it will have this one's bold, italic, as well as underlined. Cool. Hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully it is clear what these 3 tags let you do as well. Next up, the A tag. It's called the link tag. No, it's not called the link tag. What is the A tag called? Someone let me know later. The A tag lets you create links like these. For example, if you look at it, version 1.9.2, if I click on it, it takes me to a different page. What is this called? This is called linking to a different page. And if you ever want to create something similar to this, let me try it. Let me try to create something similar to the whole top line. I can do something like this. A href equal to where I want the user to go if they click on the button. I repeat, the href attribute over here tells where do I want the user to go, let's say google.com, when they click on this link, and I can write, whatever version 1.92 over here. So if I write code that looks something like this, in fact, I can add more text after it as well, is now available. Read about the new features and fix them from July. If I write code like this, again, this is the only extra thing that I've added. Everything else is just text. The website looks something like this. And now I can click on this version 1.9.2 and it will take me to google.com. That is what links let you do. What does a link let you do? It lets you link to a different page. It also has another attribute over here called target, inside which if you write underscore blank, I repeat, if you write a target equal to underscore blank and href equal to wherever you want to point it, then if you click on it, it will take you to google.com in a new tab. I repeat, if you add target equal to blank, if you click on this, it will take you to google.com in a new tab. That is what the a tag lets you do. Can you guess what the image tag lets you do? The img tag lets you do. It lets you create an image. For example, this Visual Studio Code, if you go to the website, this over here is an image. They have rendered an image on screen. If you want to render a similar image on screen, what can you do? First, get the URL of that image. I repeat, how did I get the URL? I took this, I opened it in a new tab. I copied the link to this URL. This is a PNG file. If you look at the URL, what is it? code.visualstudio.com/assets/home/home screen mac 2xv2.png. Okay? This is a image that I can, if I want, I can download this image as well. Save image as whatever. And now, what do I want? I want to create an image tag. Image src equal to this. I repeat, how do you create an image tag? img space src. The source is equal to the source of the image. And then maybe let's close the image tag like this. Again, what am I doing? Image source equal to this. If I write this code, let me remove this version text over here. Let me keep this text alive. What do I see? If I go to the website, I see a very big image. Now I don't want to see this big an image. So I can add some more attributes like width equal to 200. If I refresh, I see a very small image over here. Let me make it slightly bigger. Width equal to 600. Now I see the image. Right after it, I see the text. Can you write the code so that this text comes in the next line? Can you think of a way to do that? Have we learned this already? I have an image text. I have an image. I have a text right next to it. Image, text. Can I put them in separate lines somehow? What if I do this? I create a div inside which I create the image. What did we learn initially? A div takes the full width, which means if I have a div inside which I have an image, that div will take the full width. If I refresh, you will see the image is up here. The text is right below it. Cool. All right, I think we're good. I can also structure this like this. If I refresh, you will see, this is a different text. This is a different area. The first image has taken the complete width. The first div has taken the complete width. I repeat, the image is still 200 pixels, but the div is very long. If I give this div a background color, bear with me for 1 second. If I write this background red, you will see the div is taking the full width, but the image is still taking 200 pixels. I repeat, I have written the code. Okay, the div is going to, since this is a div, it will take the full width. The image inside will take the width of just 600 pixels. Why did I put the image inside a div? So that I can have the text in the next line. I did not want this and the text to be in the same line. All right. That's the image tag. There are 3 more tags left, and then I will do a poll before we proceed. I might have gone a little fast. Let me quickly recap. Div lets you structure your applications. It takes the full width. Span lets you structure your application, does not take the full width. 2 span tags can be right next to each other. Head tag and the title tag more specifically The head tag is where you put all of your metadata. What is metadata? Things that don't appear over here. Title tag is what you put over here, or whatever you have inside the title tag appears over here. Body is where you put your real application logic. Your everything that appears here on the website needs to be put inside the body. These lets you create headings. This lets you style your text a bit, bold, italic, underline. This is the anchor tag. It lets you link to an external website. This lets you create an image. Next up is the input tag. If you remember the Visual Studio Code website, it had an input box. It had this input box right here where search docs is written and you can search for something. If you want to create something like this is where you use the input tag. So let me delete the image for now. Input type equal to text. I repeat, type equal to text. Harkirat, what else can type be? We'll get to very soon. And placeholder equal to search. If I write code that looks like this, input type equal to text, placeholder equal to search, what does it look like? It looks like this. This is the input box. Of course, this input box is much prettier than our input box. In fact, the whole website is much prettier than our website. But this input box lets us create something that we can eventually style to something like this. If you want to learn something slightly advanced, don't get overwhelmed when I do this. Right click over here. I repeat, right click over here inside Chrome and click on inspect. When you right click over here and click on inspect, you will see it takes you to the HTML of this page. Any website that you're rendering locally, any website that you go to, even if you go to google.com, you can see the HTML that led to the creation of this website. Does that mean you can read Google ka front-end code? Sort of. You can read the front-end code of Google. You can read the front-end code of these guys as well. As you can see, there is a div tag inside which there is an input tag, and that input tag appears over here. Input type equal to text, very similar to how we wrote. And this is how you can inspect websites and copy over their styles if you want. Halkiya, this is a security vulnerability. Not really. This isn't a security vulnerability. If you want to see someone's code rendered on your browser does need to receive that code. So yes, you can actually see everyone's front-end code. If I open google.com really quickly, I can also write, this is also an input box, right? As you can see, if I right click over here, click on inspect, this is a text area, which is similar to an input box, can be slightly bigger. But I can see these guys' code as well. If I really want, I can inspect their code and hover over this and look at all the top bar code, look at all the image code in the center, so on and so forth. All right, cool. That is the input text or the input tag. Button, can you guess what is the button tag? If you want to create a button similar to this, you will have to use the button tag. If I write button submit or whatever, download, and refresh this page, you will see a search bar followed by a button. Again, it's not styled, but it gives you similar functionality. Functionally, we can build something similar to these guys. It will not be as well styled until we reach CSS. Button tag is done. What is left now? One more tab. I mean, there are thousands of tags. I'm not going through every one. There's like a table tag, thousands of tags. There's no end to how much of this you can learn. But this is a good starting point to start with. In fact, for a long time, these will be good enough for you to build any website. Last is the break tag, which lets you create some space between elements. So if I put, let's say, this inside a div, and this inside a div, what have I done? I have a div inside which I have an input box. I have another div inside which I have an input, inside which I have a button. If I look at the website, how will they look like? Search bar followed by download. But I want some space between them. So which tag can I use? I can use the BR tag. BR slash. I am auto closing the tab. What does slash over here mean? It means I'm not doing this. BR followed by slash BR. I am auto closing the same tag because I don't have to put anything inside, right? Inside this div, I had to put something. So I did not auto close it like this, but I don't have to put anything inside the BR tag. So I can auto close it right here. If you see now, there is some extra break over here. What does BR stand for? It stands for break. If I add bunch of BR tags over here, you will see a lot more breathing space between them. Do we understand some basic HTML tags? I would assume the answer was yes initially only, because this is fairly simple stuff. But is this clear, guys? Oh, 99%, great. 98%, that is great. Can we create a basic HTML page then? Very similar to Visual Studio Code. Let's copy. I've already written this code. We can write it from scratch as well. But if you look at it, what does the Visual Studio Code website look like? It looks something like this. There is a top bar which has Visual Studio Code, an image, a bunch of, could be buttons, could be anchor tags, depends on you, the maintainer, whoever is writing the code, if you want these to be buttons or anchor tags. Search bar and a button, something like this. If you look at the code I've written, I have a top level div inside which I have Visual Studio Code written. I have a few A tags for docs, updates, blogs, so on and so forth. I have a search bar input box. I have a button that says download. I have some breathing space, and I create the banner. Finally, the thing looks something like this. I have the top bar unstyled. I have a banner that is also unstyled. We will slowly style it in the next section. Let's quickly copy this code locally and try it out. If I copy the code locally, paste it and open it over here, you will see it looks like this. It does have a top bar. It does have this. It looks fairly ugly right now. Let's make it a little more styled. A lot of styling you can add via HTML. In fact, let me share a few weird tags that I know of from back in the day. There is this tag called the center tag that, as the name suggests, lets you center everything inside it. So if I type the center tag, I think this is depreciated, which is why this is red right now. If I refresh now, you will see the top bar is centralized. How? I put everything inside it, inside the center tag. We also saw you could increase the font size. If I type, H1 anywhere, I could have a very big element over here. So even though you can do very basic styling in HTML, to actually style your application, you need CSS. So let's quickly go through what is CSS and how can we convert this ugly website similar to the Visual Studio Code website. Let's go to the next slide. That's the last slide for today. CSS. CSS stands for Cascading Style Sheets. Does not matter what it stands for. It is used to style our applications. If we did not have CSS, we can build websites. They will look ugly. If you want to make them pretty, you use CSS. You can add CSS to your HTML by using either the style attribute, which is called inline styles, an external CSS file, which is also called something. Again, this is 8th class HTML CSS. There is a third type here as well, which is you can put it in the same file in a style tag. Don't worry about it. Most of the times you will be doing this. I repeat, you will be putting your CSS in an external CSS file. Question is, what is CSS to begin with? Let's quickly see a small demo. What is the problem with our website right now? The first problem is if you open the VS Code website, it looks something like this. It has a black background versus our website has a white background. So the very first thing we need to change, the very first style we need to add is to make the background black. It's not really black. If you look at it, this is like some extra color. So let's try to figure out what this color is. If you want, you can, actually, this color actually looks like a gradient. So let's not go there. But, this isn't really black. It's slightly, mid black to bluish color. So if you want, you can actually inspect what colors these are. Right click, click on inspect. As I said, this is a real way to copy another website. If you ever want to copy someone else's website, just look at their HTML code and start to figure out, what all attributes are they using? What is the background color? Looks like it's black only. It's some variable called -- background, which, if you find, we will know what color that is. Most probably that is not black. That is, let's say this color right here. #OEOEOE. What is this, Sarkirat? Hashtag OE. Every color can be represented in, okay, this is now slightly off topic here, but every color actually can be represented in what are called RGB values. R stands for red, G stands for green, B stands for blue. Every color, if you want to make, you can make it using these three primary colors, if you remember from school, right? RGB, red, green and blue. If you have a red paint, green paint and blue paint, you can mix them in certain proportions to create any color. So similarly, the way to represent colors in HTML, there are like various ways. One is this hashtag followed by 6 characters, which is most probably hexadecimal representation of colors. Yeah, that probably is it. 16 cross 16 is 256. Yes, I can go deeper into this if you want, but colors you can represent in 3 ways. You can either write green or black, or you can write something like this: RGB 200 100 100. Let's say, okay, this is the red value, this is the green value, this is the blue value, where these numbers can go from 0 to 255. I repeat, these numbers can go from 0 to 255. Or the third way to represent this color is this hashtag representation, where you saw 9B A38B, where most probably, I'm just guessing here, okay, this 9B represents the R value converted into hexadecimal. Now, what is hex? We discussed this yesterday, if you remember. Okay, if you have a bunch of bytes, this is off topic. If you don't understand it, it's fine. Let me just not go there. But if you remember from yesterday's class, we learned hex. If you have something that goes from 0 to 255, you can represent that in 2 characters, because 16 into 16 is 255. Harkirat, what are you saying? What is 16 into 16? What is that math? It is 256. Yes. Don't worry about this. 3 ways you can represent colors. You can always find a converter online that will let you convert from one format to another. So if you want to convert green color to this RGB format, convert color to RGB, you can find a converter over here. What does it say? Hex to RGB converter. If I type, whatever, red or AF over here and click on convert, it gives me, okay, this color is gray. The red value here is 175, green value here is 175, blue value here is 175. And this, you can represent it like this. You can represent it like this, hashtag AF, or you can write gray also, either is fine. Cool. Just various ways to do colors in CSS. Let's see this in action. Let's make our background completely not black, but the color that we saw over here, which was 0E, 0E, 0E. Cool. What am I going to do? I'm going to make the background 0E, 0E, 0E. So if I go to my code over here, I can do one of 2 things. The easy way to do is doing this: style equal to background color, hashtag OE. I repeat, what am I saying? Okay, by the body tag, the body needs to have a background color of this color right here. What is this color? It's the hexadecimal representation of something very close to black. If I hover over it, you will see it's very close to black. It's not exactly black, but very close to it. So if I refresh the page now, you will see the background isn't exactly black. It is actually this color right here that you see. This color on the top is most probably a gradient, which is something we're ignoring for now. But this color most probably is the same as this color. It is not black. It is hashtag OE. If I hover over this, you will see it's very close to black, but it's not exactly black. Cool. What we have done over here is introduced a CSS property. I have said, okay, by body needs to have background color of this. If I move this style tag, I repeat, if I move this in this div, then only this div will have a background color of black. If I keep it in the body, then the whole body will have a black color. If I keep it in this div, then only this div, as you can see, has the black color. This one does not. That is how you introduce inline styles to your website. Let's quickly, style our application a little bit. If I add style background color here, I see the whole thing is black, but the text becomes invisible because this text is also black. I repeat, the Visual Studio Code text here is black. So I should convert this to white. How can I do that? This div I can write style, color is white. I repeat, what have I written? The color is going to be white. Harkirat, why have you written white over here? Why have you not written hashtag something? I can write that. I can hover over this and select, a different color. And that color comes over here. As you can see, I can write it like this. I can write it in its RGB representation, or I can simply write white. All three of these are the same thing, does not matter. All right. Style equal to color colon white semicolon. That is how you write inline styles. If I refresh this page, you will see Visual Studio Code is white in color. All right. Straightforward, simple stuff. Do we understand how to write inline styles like this? Approach number 1 is inline styles. This is how you write an inline style. Approach number 2, there is another approach, which is, you can add a style tag in your application. I repeat, you can add a style tag in your HTML page, and here you can write things like these. For example, let me remove the background color from here, and over here in the style tag, I can write, okay, the body needs to have a background color of this thing. What have I said? I've said the body, rather than having an inline style, has a, I don't know what this is called, but it's a style tag in the same file. It's not called external styles, I think. I don't know what the name for this is, but this is another way for you to structure your style slightly better. This is slightly cleaner, right? Having all the styles at the top of your file is slightly cleaner than doing what we had done. Put everything inline only. Cool. So this will make your application slightly cleaner. How can we move this style over here? That is a different question. For that, we will have to wait until we reach the last section of this videos. The body tag was simple to do. If I write div over here, then every div, this div and this div will get those styles. So I can't, if I want only this div to have a white color, I cannot use this approach. I will have to use a different approach. We will get to what that approach is. But hopefully we understand how you can add styles in the same file. And then lastly, the third and the most, the best way to structure your CSS, if you are writing CSS, I repeat, this is not how things are done today. This is a very 2008 way of doing things, is that you create an external file called index.css. And whatever I had written inside this style tag, I'm going to copy to index.css, which is body, background color, this background color. Cool. It is just a better way to structure your applications. I have copied everything to index.css. One thing you have to do is import the CSS file here. I repeat, you have to import the CSS file here. And I think the way to do that is this index.css, but I could be wrong. Link rel equal to index.css link. This is where you can find the index.css file. This might be wrong. We will see very soon. Let me refresh the page. Let me go to I've written in it incorrectly. Can some of you guess how do you add? There you go. Link rel equal to style sheets, href equal to index.css. I repeat, link rel equal to style sheets, href equal to index.css. If you type this, then your external styles will get imported from this file right here. So do we understand how do you the approach number 1 of writing styles, approach number 2 of writing styles? Inline styles, shove all the styles in the same place. If this needs more than one style, then you can do something like this. Okay, div style color equal to this semicolon, space, background color equal to red, space, font size equal to 10, so on and so forth. You can separate all the various properties with a semicolon. Or if you have external styles, then you can just write them one below the other. Okay, font dash size 200 and font or whatever color red. So if you have multiple properties here, you write them like this. If you have multiple properties here, then you write it like this, font size 200. Cool. All right. Now we have a page that looks something like this. Let's go through some very basic attributes. Let's try to style and come closer to the main landing page. What does the main landing page look like? It looks like this. Let's try to create at least this much of the code, which includes a top bar, a banner, some code here on the left, and an image here on the right. Let's quickly try to recreate this. This has two parts, two difficult things to do. Number one, styling everything. That's actually not too difficult, writing Visual Studio Code in a slightly bigger fashion, writing docs, updates in a slightly small. If you hover over it, it becomes white. Putting an input box over here, download. This is easy. The difficult bit is structuring your page. Here, all of this needs to come on the left. All of this needs to come on the right. As you can see, there is some padding over here, equal padding over here. Let's say 100 pixels over here, 100 pixels over here. Then all of this is shoved to the left. All of this is shoved to the right. Similarly here, this is shoved on the left. This is shoved on the right. This is actually the most confusing bit in CSS for the first time. We achieve this via something called Flexbox. But that's the difficult bit. Styling it is much easier. Let's quickly try to style it. Can you try to style it yourself? Can you quickly write some code for this top bar at the very least? Now that you know how you can add the styles, and here are some styles that are enough for you to build something like this. Can you try to write it? What do we want? We want the top bar needs to have Visual Studio Code written like this. So what can I do? I can say top bar, the Visual Studio Code span needs to have a style of, the font size is slightly bigger. Font dash size, let's say 20. Color looks like white. So color is white. That is it. I don't see anything new here. Maybe it's a little bit bolder. I repeat, it's a little bit bolder. So I can write another property. Let me introduce here, font weight. I repeat, font dash weight, which as the name suggests is the weight of your font, how bold it is. Let me put like 500 over here. That's the only 3 things I added to create something similar to this on my page. Now it's all messed up because I made the font size 200 over here. Let me remove that. Refresh. And this Visual Studio Code looks somewhat closer to this. The font here is much better. The font here is a little ugly. This is still a little thinner than this. This is also slightly bigger than it. So let me change that. Let me make this 18. Let me make the font weight 600. Now it's a little too bold. So let me make it 550. Now this looks closer to this. The font here is much cleaner. How do you add a font is something we can get to. But other than that, this and this look close enough. What is the next thing? You see that this is padded on the left with, let's say, 100 pixels. Padded on the right with 100 pixels. So can I, to begin with, just add a padding on the left for 100 pixels? Yes. How do you add that? Amongst the attributes that you saw over here, there was color, background color, font size, margins, and paddings. What do we want to do? We want to add some padding over here, right? We want to pad this with 100 pixels, after which I want my thing to come, and then pad on the right also with 100 pixels. So what we can do is there is a subtle difference between margin and padding. We will get to what that is. Both of them do very similar things and let you space things out. But let's start by adding padding. What am I saying? I'm saying here the top bar, I repeat, the top bar is going to have a left padding of 100 pixels and right padding of 100 pixels. Let's see what that does. If I look at my page, I see it move to the right by 100 pixels. Now this 100 pixels doesn't seem enough. I think this might be like 200 pixels. So let me make this 200 pixels. Again, this is like the ugly 2008 way of doing it. Don't do this on a project. There are like better ways to make sure your top bar only takes a certain amount of space. This is very vanilla, very, pre-Tailwind days kind of a thing. All right. If I change the padding, now it looks like left padding is there. Probably there is a right padding as well. I don't see it, but hopefully there is a left padding and there is a right padding as well. How can I confirm? Let me give it a background color. Let me give it a background color of red. And when I do that, I see it is padded on the left and padded on the right, but still hard to see. I still can't see the right padding over here, right? What if I do this? I say, yeah, there is padding on the left of 200, padding on the right of 200, and everything inside this is in this div. And this div, I will make background color green. Can I now see? Okay, indeed it is padded on the right and it is padded on the left. What have I done? I created a top bar. I said you're going to have a left padding and a right padding of 200. And the first child, I put everything inside another div. I made the color of this div green. Now this div, as you can see, the green div is only taking this much space. It is not taking this left space and this right space because the parent has padded it. It has left 200 pixels on the left 200 pixels on the right. Cool. I will do a poll after this if you did not understand it. Let me quickly take you through margin as well. Then we can do a poll. Padding lets you pad the thing internally. I repeat, if you saw over here, the child, what's the best way to explain the difference between padding and margin? Let me remove the child. If I refresh, when you add a padding, you add internal space over here. KR, let the parent div be. Inside the parent div, I add 200 pixels on the left. When I pad it internally. When I add a margin, I repeat, when I replace this padding with the margin and refresh, I pad it externally. So if I want the space to be, what have I done here? The parent div has a background color of red. And if I want that red color to still persist, I want to pad this div internally. I want under say from inside, I want to have 200 pixel space here. Then you pad like this. And then internally we push 200 pixels. If I want externally, the outside the div I want some extra space, is when you use margin over here. Very subtle difference. You won't be able to tell also if I did not add this. If I removed the background color red, doesn't matter if I have margin right or if I have padding right. They both look exactly the same. But what is the difference? One pads internally, other pads externally. Do we understand this? This isn't important. This will at some point in your career boggle your head, why is this extra red coming? But it's good to know, and probably the only confusing thing for today. So do we understand paddings on both the sides? Alrighty, we understand paddings, margins, sort of 91%. Okay. I'm happy to recap it at the end of the class as well. Cool. Are we getting close? Sort of. Let's try to style it a little bit better. There is some breathing space here. There is some padding at the top as well. So let's add some top padding here. Padding dash top, let's say 20 pixels. That's a little too much. Let's make it 10 pixels. Looks close enough. There is an image right next to it. Let's get the image. Let's get this image. Span. Div navbar. How can I get this image? I'm sure someone in chat knows already. I see the span. I see the whole thing. There is a padding. Okay, let me try one thing here. There you go. code.visualstudio.com/favicon.ico gives you this image. This gives you an image that appears over here, but the same image appears over here, so we can just reuse it. Or we can get this base 64 image also. Either is fine. Either one of these, let me just paste it in chat in case you're trying this out locally. Here is where you can find an image to this logo. Let me paste this in chat in case you want to try it out locally. And let me put it right before, Visual Studio Code over here. So what do I want? I want to put a image over here with, let's say, a width of 20. If I refresh, I see the image over here. Now the styling gets a little tricky now. As you can see, there is some horizontal space over here. So let me add style equal to padding dash right of 5 pixels. Let me increase the width to be 24. Now you will face some issues. Can you see this is not vertically aligned correctly? Visual Studio Code and this logo are not correct vertically aligned correctly. We will fix this eventually. Here, as you can see, this is big, but this Visual Studio Code is vertically aligned correctly with this text right here. In our case, that is not the case. If you really zoom in here, you will see bottom aligned. This Visual Studio Code is aligned to the bottom of the image. There is a lot of extra space on top. There are ugly ways of solving this, which I'm not going to write. You can add some padding, below this to make it sort of work, but I'll share the right way to solve this eventually. Cool. This is done and this is done. Then you have to add all of these. You have to style all of these a little bit better. How can you do that? We want docs, updates, yada, 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 all to be clickable. As you can see, if I click on it, something happens. I want them to be clickable. I want the mouse pointer to change when I hover over it. I want them to be gray in color. If I hover over it, I want them to become white. So let me introduce a new concept over here called classes and IDs. I repeat, let me introduce a new concept called, if you go to the end, classes and IDs. This is useful when you want to write reusable logic. I repeat, if you want to write reusable logic, by which I mean, I want to reuse the styles for this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, and this guy. I can use classes and IDs. Let's see what that is. If I, rather than writing, let's say ahref, let me convert this into a span. This is already pretty messed up. But let me convert all of these into a span. And let me write span class equal to top link. I repeat, what have I written? Span class equal to top link. It basically assigns all of these spans a class. And why is that useful? Because at the top of your file, or in your style sheet over here, just like I wrote body background color this, I can write, now I always get confused here if it's this or the other one, dot top link, I repeat, dot top link, let's say font color or color gray. What have I said? I have said, okay, bhai, all of you guys have a class of top link. And in my style sheet, I've said anything that has a class of top link will have the color to be gray. I repeat, anything that has the class of top link will have color set to gray. What will that do? If I refresh the page, you will see all of these become gray. I did not have to rewrite the logic again and again. Hopefully that's straightforward. Okay. I did not have to do this. Kr style equal to color gray. I can do this as well, but this is repeating my logic again and again. If I have to add more things over here in the future, let's say, cursor pointer. What does cursor pointer do? It makes your cursor a pointer when you hover over it. That is what we wanted, right? If I hover over it, my cursor becomes a pointer. So that is what this attribute lets you do. But I'm just repeating myself too many times. If I ever want to change the color, I will have to change it in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 places. To avoid that, what you do is you assign all of them the same class. I repeat, you assign all of them the class of top link, and you write all the styles over here. Cursor pointer. And if I refresh, all of these get a certain style. Maybe add some padding over here as well. Okay, padding left 5 pixels. Something like this. Maybe a little bit more. Cool. Hopefully that is sort of clear. Of course, this color and this color are very different. On hover, nothing is happening. But do we understand this much? Can I proceed? The next thing we're going to learn is Flexbox. And how can you move this thing on the right and this thing on the left? After we have learned Flexbox, we can build the whole page ourselves. But we need to understand one more thing before, we have all the knowledge to build this. So can I proceed to teach Flexbox now? Do we understand everything we have done until now? Okay, great. We do understand everything we've done, discussed. So the next thing we need to understand, the most confusing bit in CSS, the place where you will be writing this logic too many times as you structure an application or write your application in the future, is structuring things, putting something on the left, something on the right. In fact, even this, if I make this smaller, you will see it keeps on changing. And eventually, when I make it really small, this text moves to the top of the screen. This image moves below it. These are, things that sort of boggle your head a bit when you have to worry about responsiveness and you have to worry about how to structure things. For example, even though it doesn't look like it, in the top bar also we want this thing on the left. We want these things on the right. In here also we want this thing on the left. We want this thing on the right. How can you do that? And the answer is by using something called Flexbox. What does Flexbox let you do? Let me open the slides over here. It lets you structure children of a div. I repeat, it lets you structure children of a section, a div, like this. Do you want all three of these right next to each other? Do you want all three of these towards the end right next to each other? Do you want them spaced out like this? Do you want them with a space around? Okay, x by 2 space here, x space over here, x space over here, x by 2 space over here? Or do you want to space them evenly? X space over here, x space over here, x space over here, x space over here. Which one of these do we want? If you look at it, we want these to be side by side. I repeat, we want basically this thing only. Okay, you are on the left, you are on the right. We actually might want something like this, space between. Okay, if there are 3 children, then the first thing is stacked to the left, middle thing is in the middle, last thing is stacked to the right. If there are only 2 elements, then the first element will be stacked to the left, second element will be stacked to the right. That looks close to what we want over here as well as over here. So can we somehow use this property that they're talking about called space between and create something like this? Let's try it out. Firstly, let's put all of this inside one div. Let's put all of this inside another div. I repeat, all of this is inside one div, all of this is inside another div. So if I go over here, let me change the code to look something like this. Okay, all of this is inside one div. Let me also change the color of this so we can see it clearly. Background green. Let me do the same thing here really quickly. All right. If I refresh, if I refresh, what do you see? You see visuals. The first part, the thing that is supposed to be on the left, has taken the whole width, and the second part, the thing that is supposed to be on the right, has also taken the whole width. I repeat, let me increase the font size a bit. This was supposed to be on the left, this was supposed to be on the right. They to came one below the other. That makes sense also. I made this a div, which means this whole thing will take the full width. That is exactly what happened here. And I made this a div also, which made these two also take the whole width. That is also exactly what happened over here. Now I want both of them to come side by side. Even though this is a div and this is a div, I don't want a div to take the full width. I want the div to be inline. I repeat, spans were inline. If you remember, we said if you put spans, if you put 2 spans right next to each other, they will appear one next to the other next to the other. Versus if you put a div, it takes the full width. That is exactly what happened here. But what do we want? We want it needs to be a div. It needs to be side by side. Here is where Flexbox comes into the picture. If I change for the parent div, I repeat, if I change for the parent div, if I add the display colon flex property, I repeat, display colon flex property, then they appear right next to each other. We are slowly getting there. I added display flex. Even though we have two divs, div 1 and div 2, they appear right next to each other. What do we want? We want them in separate corners. One div on the left, other div on the right. Only thing I've added until now is display flex. What has that done? Okay, by child 1 and child 2 of this parent div are coming right next to each other. They are not coming one div below the other. Both of these divs have become inline thanks to me making display set to flex. The last thing I need to do is select one of these. Do I want the children to be right next to each other? This is what happens by default. By default, justify content is set to flex start, which is why you see both the children on the left currently. If you go here, both the children are stacked on the left. What do we want? We want space between. We want first child on the left, second child on the right. We don't have a third child. If we did, then it would be like this. But if we only have two children, one child will be on the left, other will be on the right. That is exactly what we want. So what can I do? I can add justify content space dash between. I can add another property that says the display is set to flex, and this is how you are going to justify the content. They are going to be spaced in between. So if I now refresh, do we see something close to what we want? What did we want? Something like this. This stack to the left, this stack to the right. Do we see something similar? This is stacked to the right, this is stacked to the left. Now we should add more padding over here and here. Let me do that. 250, 250, 300, 300. Let me remove, whatever the colors that I added. Are we coming close to what we want? We wanted something like this. We are currently at something like this. Of course, there's a lot to do, but hopefully it's clear that slowly we are moving in that direction. We have all the tools to be able to create this now. We have to add a bunch of things. We need to change the font. We need to add the hover. We need to space this slightly better. There's like a lot of space here. The font size of this is bigger. The font size of this is smaller. The color here is different. But do we understand how we have created this? Hopefully we do. Can we now create the banner? Can you now try to create the banner? Take 5 minutes and try to add a banner like this. It needs to be in the center of the screen. That will be the biggest challenge. I have already given a hint of how you can do that. But can you quickly try to add this banner to the code? Until then, I'm going to open chat. Can you try adding the banner? If you're able to write the banner, can you create this as well? This on the left and this on the right. You have all the tools now to do it. Font size needs to be bigger. Maybe you don't have we haven't learned about something called border radius. That will give you, some radius on this div. I've given you a hint, border radius. That will probably teach you how you can build this. How can you style something like this? Isn't this a div effectively? It is a div. When you hover over it, the background color changes. The mouse pointer becomes a pointer. The size is really big. There is a lot of padding over here. These are all A tags. This is very small text, A tags. This is an image tag. Can you quickly create this? Take 5 minutes, then I will code the whole thing. But for 5 minutes, try to create the banner and try to create this. Until then, I'm going to open chat. Then I will finish the whole thing and then we will call it. So any specific questions? Please be slow, even slower than this. Mess time, all right. You can call it. There's not much to do after this. Okay, there's one person who's saying please be slow. So let me first do a poll. Was this clear or was this also fast? Was this clear? And if it's 95%, we're good. Then you'll have to, chew your glass a bit. If it's less than 95, we can talk. Okay, it's not 95. Oh wow, it's getting slower, slowly getting slower now. Huh. Okay, we can talk. Let's talk 20%. This is not clear. That's fine. Let's talk for a bit. If you are in the 80%, complete the whole thing and then, drop off. For the 20%, anything specific you did not understand? Or should I just recap? I repeat, should I just recap or anything specific that you are not able to understand right now? Flex, recap, flex, padding and margin. Perfect. Great. Let's understand padding, margin and flex. These are the three things we did not understand. Padding, margin, flex. Let's try to spend some time to understand these three things. Okay. again, if you understand everything, if you were in the 80%, your time to drop off. If you were in the 20%, then you can stay. If you are in the 80%, also feel free to code the whole thing over here. All right. For the 20%, two things. Number one, I'm going to post code 2's videos. I have covered all of these in a slight more detail over there. But let me also help you out a bit here. Let's say you want to create a card component. You want to create something like this, where this is your full screen. And then you have this card component in the center. And here you have written, my name is Harkirat, something like this. So can you tell me what is margin here? And when I write this div, what is this? Is this margin or is this padding? Let's try it out. Let's try to create something like this. I'm going to clear everything from Visual Studio Code. Everything I've cleared. Okay. I'm going to create this dabba component for once. Okay. I'm going to create a div class equal to border color black, border width 2 pixels. I think this is right. We will see. Hi there. Let me write this code first. Let me open this. What does it look like? It looks something like this. It has hi there. I don't see any border color, border width. Border width thick. Border color black. That looks right. Let's see. Missing something obvious here. I'm sure you guys already know. Let's see. Oh, I've written class. I should write style. My bad. Border width thick. Border width W3 schools. Try it out. Border style solid, border width thin. All right. Border style solid. Border style solid. All right, there we go. I have a card like this. What did I want? I wanted it here at the center of my screen. So I want some space here on the top. At the very least, what do I want? I want some space here on the top. Now, should this be padding or should this be margin? Let's try both of them. Let me first try padding. Padding 100 pixels or padding top 100 pixels. Where do you think, what does padding mean? If this is my content inside the div, I am padding that content. I am adding space from inside. If I refresh, do you see the padding was added from inside? But what did we want? We want, if this is the div, it is padded from outside. I don't want this space. We will worry about this space eventually. But right now I want to worry about the space outside it, which means I need to add a margin top. I don't want to add padding. I want to add margin. What is margin? Margin is when you have to add a what's the best way to explain this? Margin is when you want to add space outside the div. If this is my div, do I want some space outside it or inside? If I add a margin dash left 20 pixels, I get some extra margin outside my div. But if I replace this with padding, then I get some padding inside my div. Padding, as the name suggests, you're padding your div from the inside. If you want to, see it even better, don't worry about any of, the directions. Just write padding : 20 pixels. And you will see some padding added here, some padding added here, some padding added to the right as well. Let me make this 200 pixels. some padding added here, inside, and if I make this margin, then some margin added here, margin added below, margin added on the right as well. Do we understand the difference between padding and margin before we go into flex? I will also create the whole card component that I was talking about, but do we, wrong poll. Do we understand the difference between padding and margin? Whenever you're creating your applications, styling them, just pick and basically try one. You will understand, अच्छा ये तो अंदर से कर रहा है. Just use the other one in the other case. All right, 96% is great. Next comes flex. It is a difficult concept to chew. But let's open a random website, any website, even this Visual Studio Code website. Can you see 1, 2, 3, 4? 4 children are in the same row. 4 complex children are in the same row. This isn't a span. This is a div, this is a div, this is a div, and this is a div. There are 4 divs right next to each other. Here, there is a div on the left, there is a div on the right. This second div on the right has 3 children inside. First one here, second one here, third one here. The next one has something on the left and something on the right. Whenever you have use cases like these, you have 2 complex things to keep right next to each other. You use flexbox. I repeat, whenever you have 2 complex things to keep right next to each other, here yahan pe I want some text, yahan pe I want a very big photo or an image. Then you use flexbox. What do? You say kya the parent div, I repeat, you say the parent div is going to have display set to flex. I repeat, the parent div, this one right here, has display set to flex, and the children, when you have parent divs display set to flex, both of these divs will come right next to each other. Let's see this in action. Let's create an outside dabba, an outer dabba with, let's say no margin, don't worry about that. Then I will create one div with background color as red. Inside this I will write hi there from red, and then another div with the background color as green. Inside this I will write hi there from green, and let me add some padding to both of them. Padding 200 pixels, padding 400 pixels. So what have I done? Created an outer div. This big div that you see right here, inside which I have div number 1 and div number 2. This div and this div. This one slightly bigger, this one slightly smaller. Let's see how it looks like right now. Can you see the first one is above, second one is below. They are not next to each other. Why? Because these are divs. 2 divs will always take the full space unless you add what? You add display flex over here. If I refresh, now can you see they're both right next to each other? This one has some less padding, this one has a lot of padding. Were we able to put both the children right next to each other even though they are divs? Yes, we were. Question is, how do you want to structure them? Do you want them right next to each other? Do you want them right next to each other? Do you want them at the end? Do you want them in the middle? Do you want them spaced out equally? Whatever way you want to structure your children is why you use justify content for. Display flex, if you set display flex, it will by default justify the content to flex start. This is the default value. Okay, bhai, all the children are going to be stacked to the left, right next to each other. If you want to stack them to the end, if you want both of these to be towards the end, then what will you write? You will write justify content what was it? Flex end. If I refresh, you will see both of them have been pushed to the right. If you want them to be in the middle, you can write justify content center, and you will see both the children are in the middle. If you want them, any of these ways. Space between is the most important one for us right now. Okay, bhai, you stay on the left, you stay on the right. So what can you do? You can write space between, and this red comes on the left, this green comes on the right. Why is this important for us? Because what I can do is I will add some margin over here on the parent div. I repeat, on the parent div, I will add some margin over here. I will add some margin over here. And then I will have two children right next to each other in the middle of the screen. That's exactly what's happening here, right? What is happening here? Okay, there is some margin over here, some margin over here. Then this guy takes some width. This guy takes the rest of the width. That is what we want. This guy is shoved to the left of this parent div. This guy is shoved to the right of this parent div. So what can I do? I can say, क्या जो parent div है ना, take some margins on both the sides. I can add a margin dash horizontal or margin dash left 200 pixels, margin dash right 200 pixels. If I refresh now, can you see there is some margin here, some margin here? This takes most of the width, this takes less width. Now, can I create something similar to this section? Code with GitHub Pilot. Let me just copy this whole thing, paste it on the left div. Let me take this image URL. Let's see. Let me take this image URL and paste it on the right div. Now if I refresh the page, what do you think will happen? The image comes over here, the text comes over here. Let me remove the padding that I've added, extra padding everywhere I've added. Remove from here, remove from here. Text on the left, image on the right. Let me make the image slightly bigger. Text on the left, image on the right. Can I change this text to be slightly more styled? Can I make it something like this? Yes, I can, right? This is a heading. Let me add a heading over here, H1. Code with GitHub Copilot. Then this is a small heading, let's say. Let me make this H6. So on and so forth by the end of it. If you keep doing this and you change the colors, have you created something similar to this section? Of course, this is styled much better. Background is black, this is white. We can do that very quickly. But do we understand the importance of flex when you want to create pages and sections like these? Let's do a quick poll. We're also at 9:30 here, so we'll answer some questions after this and call it. All right, we sort of understand this. So can you, before tomorrow's class, do a small assignment? Just try to copy this part. And if you can copy this part, even better. But can you do this? I will post the videos from cohort 2 where we are building this Zerodha landing page. There also, this is only covered. Flex is the most difficult bit. Here, what is happening? Again, you have some padding over here. Sorry, some margin over here, some margin over here. This thing on the left, this thing on the right. An image over here. A big font like H1. This is H5. And this is a button that is styled. So, can you create this without the video from cohort 1? Hopefully you can try it out. If not, I will post the cohort 1 video. There are 3 videos there. Similarly, we do a HTML only logic. We do some CSS logic. Then we add some JavaScript on top as well. So I'll post those videos. Try that out as well. But this is a slightly easier one to build. This visual code interface is slightly harder to build. I would urge you to build at the very least this. And if possible, this section as well. You can repeat a lot of code here. Once you've written this, it's very easy to write this. It's very easy to write this. So, try that out. With that, let's now move to some question answering. Any questions related to the class? There are also many other ways of doing the same thing. Flex is not the only way to structure elements like this. It's just the most popularly used one, or at least the ones that I used very commonly. You can use semantic tags like nav, section, tags instead of div. If you want to structure an application even better, what you can do is, your footer, you can write inside a footer. Your header, you can write inside a header. Let's say this nav bar that you wanted to add, put that inside a header tag, and put this inside a section tag. These let you structure your application a little bit better, or just put divs. Either is fine. I started to learn front-end CSS is hard for me. Any suggested way to learn where I have 2+ years of experience as a blockchain developer? So step one, try to build any website like this in raw CSS, just like we are right now. As I said, you can copy everything, every style of theirs. For example, this A tag. If you go over here, you can see what fonts they are using. And what is the size of the font, what is the weight of the font. If you really want to copy any front end, you can, unless it's some complex graph or something, then it's a little harder. But simple websites like these are copyable like this, thanks to their CSS being open for you to look at. So feel free to look at any one of these, and try to copy them in raw CSS. Once you get comfortable, then try to do the same thing in Tailwind. You will face a few issues there. If you're just using Tailwind, it will be very hard for you to create models and things like these. Let's say, is there a model over here? I don't see a model over here, but a pop-up model. Then you can try libraries like shadcn. So slowly make your way up to a library like shadcn. Firstly, focus on raw HTML, CSS, and try to build. Let's say this is also decentish. Well, this is not easy to build, but this page, for example, is something you can try building in raw CSS. And then eventually, all of these are components that these guys give. You can just, use them like this. You don't have to worry about writing a lot of this logic. But initially, try to copy some websites in raw CSS. It is 8 to 9 months for complete DevOps and web dev. Web dev will be 4 to 5 months. DevOps will be the next 3 to 4 months. 9 months, like 8 to 9 months for the whole thing, including web dev and DevOps. How to contribute to GSOC? Please guide this. I wanted to contribute to GSOC. There are few videos. I have a full playlist on the channel. Same advice I can repeat here, which is, this is early right now, which is good. Try to find 2 to 3 organizations, start to get to know their maintainers, start to contribute code there a little bit, and then go from there. But yeah, I'm in final recording. We'll do it. Let me just answer a few doubts and we'll do it. Caught the video leaker. Well, we can try it out if you want. I think he's uploaded the video. I just need one of you to download it and give it to me. My Telegram page, I'm not able to do it. Let me go through the questions really quickly, then we'll do it. All right. Hi, I have tried to learn front-end CSS. Feels hard for. Okay, answer that. Notion doc by Gokul. How to reach a point where I can build something I know Mern but kuch bana contribute nahi pata. First, start making your own projects which are complex. Then start contributing to other projects. Answer that. Convey my message to him. So teach some basics in the blockchain course. I think we were pretty basic yesterday. I mean, I don't know how lower you go from there, but let me do a poll. For example, today's poll told me that 80% is a very bad number. If 20% don't understand, that's bad. If 90 plus understand, that's good. 95% is great. So we'll aim for 90 plus and hope for 95 plus. And even in the blockchain cohort. Why not to that? Next day's topic. Tomorrow we'll start a little bit of JavaScript. Very basic JavaScript, add some functionality to our page, get a little comfortable, that's all. Next week, we'll start doing real JavaScript, asynchronous JavaScript, understanding the architecture of V8 a little bit. V8 is the JavaScript engine that browsers run and Node.js run. So next week is going to be thoda high. Tomorrow is also going to be fairly basic, even though, I thought even today was basic, but hopefully by the end of the class, you all understand everything. Please speak at 0.9x speed. Okay, so that is good. Beach mein I was told I should speak at 0.5. 0.9 is better than that. I will try to speak at 0.9x. Off topic. Can you explain how talent networks work? Will they accept student applications? They officially say they won't, but they do. I have seen 2-3 people over there, so they do accept them. I don't know what basis they were accepted on. Okay, why is one student allowed and the other isn't? But officially their stance is they don't allow. I've been through brain trust jobs. All of them are asked for experience. So the good thing about at least TopTal is once you get in, there is no discrimination based on anything. The only discrimination is based on pricing. If you're able to price yourself lesser than the other people in TopTal, you'll be fine. Brain trust, I am also part of the network. I have never tried once to get a job there. So I have no idea basically how often jobs, for example, Turing is also one, but I've also never seen, I've heard very bad feedback. It's very hard to find even one company over there. So, you will have to see which one to pick and choose. But yeah, specifically for brain trust, I don't know. For TopTal, if you get in as a student, there is no discrimination. Provide us with a calendar made in Notion. We will be able to have all the classes mentioned with topics covered in them, so we can manage and note our progress in the cohort. I'll create an issue for this. This is a good feature to add. So you're saying a calendar where all the, our weekly schedule are put. This video and this slides were present on this week. Calendar view. That sounds good to me. If that is what you meant, that sounds like a lot of people were asking for, put dates on every video. This makes it a little better than that. Okay. No more questions. I will do one more round and then we can catch the video leaker. All right. It'll be fun. You guys might need to send me a video link. I'm not able to download the video on Telegram. I don't know. My Telegram is a little messed up. What are you going to cover first, front end or back end? First, we will do front end. Then we will do very basic backend. Then we will do very basic backend with Mongo. Then we will go into React. So, the first big thing that we will learn will be React. Depends actually. Express is also a big thing for a lot of people. So you can assume the first big thing might be Express. Is CSS important? You should know enough to be able to write anything. For example, now if I give you this page, or any random website, can you start to clone that website? If I give you this Google page, can you start to write code that looks exactly like this? Can you create tabs like this? If I click on this, the tab changes. If you can create it, good enough. Do you need to know every CSS tag? Hell no. Even I Google from time to time, but most of it can be done like this. Can you share the code? Sure. Let me quickly. The code is, which I would assume you want this final code. Let me just put it in the slides. So you can just copy from there. Let's see. CSS. Another example. I've added it to the slides only. You can copy the code from there. Specifically the code that we just wrote for structuring things left and right. I had a question yesterday's class. What if someone mines the wrong block in the blockchain? What do you mean wrong block? There is no wrong block. A miner is sitting and people are sending them transactions. They're receiving transactions from everywhere. They're creating their own block. They start to mine it. They mine the block. And if they would want the block that they were able to mine. Everyone accepts that. If everyone accepts that, then their Bitcoin balance goes up. Whenever you are a Bitcoin miner, you are the one who creates the block based on the transactions that you receive. If you received 10 transactions, you will quickly put them in a block and start to mine it. But let's say there is another miner right next to you, and they received a different set of transactions from users. They created their own block. So now it depends on who is able to mine first. Let's say you were able to mine at the same time. You found the nonce the same time the other person found the nonce. Now it depends on which one of these blocks reaches the most people, because if my block reaches the most people, everyone else is now mining based on the blockchain which has my block. Versus if this guy's block reaches a lot of people, then everyone is mining based on this person's block. So if more people are able to, if there will be a fork that will be created in this case. Half people have this, half people have this. Now the question is, whenever the next block comes, was it mined on this blockchain or this blockchain? If it was mined on this blockchain, then this becomes the longest. This gets accepted. If it was mined on, the half of the pool that had this block, then this becomes the longest and this person wins. So many a times there's no wrong block. You can't mine a wrong block. You might mine a different block from someone else. Which one of these ends up winning depends on, which one of them gets accepted by most of the machines in the pool. So if there are 1,000 miners over here, let's say the Bitcoin network has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 miners. Let's say you found a block. There's no wrong block. You created your own block. Someone else created their own block. You broadcasted to everyone close to you. So this person, and this person has your block, and this person also broadcasted, they were able to reach the other people first. So all of these have a different block. So the blockchain has a fork. Half of the people have your block as the latest block, other half has this block as the latest block. Now if this person, this person finds the next block and then tells everyone ke, hey, I found the next block, then this one will like, acha, I have to change myself also to red. This became the longest blockchain now. Same for this guy, same for this guy, same for this guy. So that is how, the fork will get resolved. If one of these mines the next block, then everyone will have to accept the longest chain, which, will be this, whatever this guy proposed right now. All of them will also forget the block that this guy had made and, accept this block followed by this block. Video leaker. You wrote video leaker. All right. Can we be in English? We are sort of, right? I talk Hindi from time to time, but the expectation is I can speak everything. Whether blockchain, okay, let's keep the blockchain videos from blockchain, like in the blockchain classes, but whether blockchain only used for currency transactions kind of thing or some other use cases. There are a lot of use cases, right? If you go to Ethereum, the whole point of Ethereum was that you can build anything, not just currency on top of a blockchain. So it is used for, staking. It is used for now a lot of, use cases on top of finance. For example, lending ho gaya, allowing people to swap ho gaya now. And there are a bunch of other weird use cases that people build. But even on top of currencies, you can build a lot of things, right? Everything that's built in finance, be it perps, be it margin systems, be it options, you can now create in a decentralized world as well. Can there be, okay, so that how to build projects that are actually useful can help my portfolio undertake better. Find a problem close to you and solve it, right? That's the easiest way to do it. Not able to access this. I thought it was down a while, but it came back up. This is the most frustrating way for it to go down. It just goes down and comes back up. I'll try to see what's up. In Web3 or web dev cohorts, are we going to build some Rust project? We will probably build, some basic Rust CRUD app if that's what you're asking for. Please find a way to set up Chromium locally. You might be asking for the wrong things here, sir. It takes like 4 or 5 hours to do it. I've done it once when I was doing WebRTC. I just compiled WebRTC locally. My machine went bonkers. There's this guy who got into Chrome this year from the cohort. He told me, I asked him, do you want to come on the channel? He said 4 to 5 hours it will take to set up. So if you want, I can do it. But yeah, it's just hard. It takes a lot of time, and I'm sure it will be very hard for most people's laptop to be able to set it up. We will do a timing poll tomorrow, and then based on that, next week's classes will take either 7 to 9 or 7:30 to 9:30 or 8 to 10, whatever people want. All right. If you can't access Discord, just mail at 100xdevs@gmail.com. They will help you out there. Cool. Trying to catch the predator, shall we? As I said, cannot share a lot of my screen too much. But let me be able to reach the source. But right now when I'm trying to play also, I see something like this. So it's very hard for me to, I just need a link to the video. So if any one of you can download the video and send it to me in the next 2 minutes, then I can do it. Like put it on Drive and send it to me. I'll open chat and share. If you want to brainstorm how I might have done it, this is like a very weird. Oh, someone pasted a few Telegram groups. Let's see. Open the group. I don't see the video here. Oh, there you go. Orientation session 1.1. Yeah, this also is stuck for me like this. Someone needs to download the video and send it to me. Oh, was I sharing the screen? Fuck. Was. I'll remove it from the recording. But basically, if I share my screen on Zoom with you guys, this is what I see. Does anyone know digital fingerprinting? Have you guys worked on video in the past? I've done a lot of video stuff, which is why this just came naturally to me. I also don't know if it will work or not. We will see. I am super excited to do this, because if you can do this, then you can build like a Web3 protocol. So what happens with NFTs is, NFTs have exclusive events. You share them with, so class is officially done. Feel free to drop off. I'm not going to teach anymore. We're just now trying to catch the predator. So NFT collections have this, events, exclusive events that people just join in. NFTs are very expensive. So, if someone is trying to pirating your NFT material, whatever that is, they should be penalized. So if you can reach the NFT, you can just debar that NFT, remove it from the collection. So, you can build some Web3 related things on top of this if you can add digital fingerprinting. It's like harder to add in a PDF. It's much easier to add in a video because PDF may, it's easy to erase it versus video may, it's very hard to get rid of it. So basically that's all I'm going to share. But yeah, this is what I see right now on Telegram groups. If I'm going to open chat now, if someone has a link to the video, like one of you only, try to download the videos and pirate or just send it to me, and I'll be able to reach your account. So how that happens is a whole different question. But like, where to send the video? Just paste it over here. There you go. Someone did. Mega NZ folder. Oh, there you go. Alrighty, guys. Moment of truth. Let's download this. I'm from cohort 2. Could you please guide us for GSOC? This year itself, really. Sorry, as I said, request access. I don't know what this is. Can you give me access to this Notion page? Alright, I'm excited. This is downloaded. Let's open this. Cannot be opened. This file isn't compatible with. Let me just convert this into a different format. What was it called? 1.1 orientation. Item CD. That looks fine. Whoever it is today, what should we do? If we, let's say, find, one thing we'll do is we'll disable their account, but I don't know what else we will do. Where did I put it? What was it called? Downloads 1.1 orientation. One orientation. All right. What was the output? Output.mp4. All right, there you go. All right, I see it. Now I need to feed it to the algorithm. It'll take like, 20 minutes for it to figure it out. So let me stop sharing. And then we will go from there. And it might be nothing happens. We don't know. The person might be really smart. Or not. We will see. I'm excited. I don't know. I don't get this excited too often. But this I built with a lot of. This took like a lot of iterations. We tried to build this. I'm sharing a lot of this. I probably shouldn't. But we've been trying to do this for a while. Digital fingerprinting is a hard problem to solve. A lot of companies charge a lot, like per playback. So like, if you want to do this